everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to together solve the daily Leetcode problem. So for our today problem, we have the problem about the count mentions per user, and I think that the most difficult part in this problem is that like the problem description that is very long, and then however like if we understand the problem description and then we can come up with the solution naturally. Yeah, so why do I share the wrong answer here? Because like indeed this example is the things like I got it cost me one submission here, and then it is an edge case, and then I want to share um, that test case with you, and then I believe that that is also the useful test case for you when you program. Yeah, so in this case we have the n equal to 3, and then so in here like we have 4 messages. And so in here we can see that like one special thing in this test case in here is that like we have 2 message, and two events, they have the same timestamp, right? And so based on the hint, and then the hint from the problem, it suggests that we should sort based on the timestamp. However, what if we have 2 events, they have the same timestamps? Okay, so we should put notice in here. So this line is very important. So for example, like in here we have that all users and initially online, right? So it means that if you approach the problem naturally, and then somehow like we have 2 sets, the first set is the online, and the second set is the offline one, right? And then it means that like for the first sentence, and then all users are initially online, so it means that all of the user should be put in the online set at the beginning. And then the second thing in here is that like their status change is processed before any handling any message event that occurs at the same timestamp. So what does this mean? So if you notice, and then you can see that in here only the offline event can change the status of the online or offline, right? So it means that in here we need to always need to process the offline event before the message event. Okay, so that is the thing. So it means that like let me index this one based on its index, and then so the order. So for example, like we need to sort this message sequence, right? And then so the correct order would be this one is for the timestamp 1, right? And then it means that it is at the position or the index 2, so that is 2. And then we have 2 timestamp, they come together at the same timestamp, and then we will put the event with index 1 first, and then that is the 0, and then that is 3. So this is the order. So this one is the one of the most important thing for us to solve this problem. Okay, so let's solve the problem based on 2 sets first. First set is the online one, and the second set is the offline, right? So for the online one, for example, like we will in here we have the 3 users, right? So in here like 0, and then 0, and then that is 1 and 2 as well. So here and 2. So this is for the online set. And also we also have the offline set, that is the empty set here, right? So from now on I will indicate the left one is the online one, and the right one will be the offline one. Okay, so this is the initial step, and next step I will visit the message 2 first here, right? This one. So because like in here we set the 0 to offline at the timestamp 1, so it means that like in here we will move the 0 to the offline set, right? And how about the value of this one? The value of this one is the when he active. Okay, when he active. So when he active, it means that like the timestamp 1 plus 60. Okay, so it means that like in here this one is the 0 and 61. Okay, this is the time he becomes active again. Okay, so next we will process the event number 1, another offline event, right? Another offline event. Okay, so what should we do? We will set the user 1 off. Okay, so here 2 still 0, and in here we have the 0, 61 and 1, that is the 62, right? Okay, that is the second one. And the third one is the 0, right? We have this one. Okay, so from here we can see that like we have the message here. It means it will activate all of the online event, and then to count, and then we initialize the counts by 0, 0, 0. So this one is the 0, 0, 0, because we only have the offline event here, 0, 0 and 0, right? So for this one we can see that like it will active all of the online event. So which event is online? That is the 2, right? The only user 2 is online, right? And user 1 and 0 is not online. Okay, so you may ask me that how can we check the we can clearly see that this one is online. However, like should we ignore this one? The answer is that no. So in here, how can we check? We will check the timestamp when the user become active and the current timestamp. So what is the current timestamp? The current timestamp is 2, right? And that is, this is the current timestamp. That is the current timestamp. The current timestamp in here. And then if the 2, it means that current timestamp in here, we will compare with the timestamp. This one will go to online, right? If this one is smaller than the current timestamp, and then it means that it is activated. However, in this case, this condition is not happened, and that is the reason why we cannot count the 0 here. And then for the similar things for the 1, it means that like the 62 is not smaller than 2, smaller or equal. And then it means that like we cannot increment the count for this one. So from here we can update the result like this, the 0, 0 and 1. Okay, so for now we have only one left, which is about the message number index 3. So it means that for now we are maintaining two sets. The first one is that like the online, right? And then the online one would be the 2, right? And then the 0, and then we have the 0, 61 and also 162, right? Okay, so for now the timestamp is 62, and then we can check that. Okay, so here we can see that 61 is smaller than 62. It means that this one has already active, right? So it means that like we can increment the count of the 0 by 1. And then yeah, so in here like this is the 61, sorry. So this one is the 61, not 62. So here this one is the 61. It is smaller or equal than 61. So it means that we increment the count of this one by 1. And then we have the 0. And then of course like because the 2 is in the online set, and then it also increment the count. Okay, so in here like we can see that this is our result. And one important thing from here is that like we update the online, right? We put the 0 in the online one, and also we will keep the offline, that is 1 and then 62, right? Yeah, so in here like we can see that we can manage this problem by using the two sets. However, like in here we need to delete the element from the set and then we move it into another. So do we have another like more efficient approach? And the answer is that yes, because indeed that is my first submissions. I use the set approach, and the code is very long. That is very long here. However, like for the second approach, and then you can see that I am using the another approach, just will use one array. And how can we solve that? So in here, okay, so we will eliminate some of the text, and then I will explain the second approach. Yeah, so because like I don't want to make it long, so that is the reason why like I will introduce the faster approach in terms of implementations. Yeah, so in here you can see that like we always can maintain we only need to care about the timestamp, right? We only care about the timestamp and timestamp. for every time. We just need to maintain the timestamp, and then it means that like we can do the verification with respect to the current timestamp. For example, yeah, so it means that like we only need to the timestamp. Let's say that we have the timestamp. We only need one timestamp array to manage for all of the 3 users. So at the beginning, and then so somehow like we can see that like the message 2 will come first, right? Okay, so in here like it means that this one set the for the user 0 to offline. So it means that like we update the timestamp of the first one is the 61, and these two other two will be 0. And then also we need to have the count, that is the 0, 0 and 0, right? Okay, so in here in the next iteration, and then we also have another offline event, and with this offline event we will set the 1 to offline, and when it is active, and then so the activated and the activation time is that like 61 and 41, right? That is the timestamp, that is the 2 plus 60, right? So that is the 62. Okay, so this one is the 61, 62 and 0. Okay, so next what should we do? It means that like here we have the event 0, and then it will count here. It means that which is active, and then the timestamp in here, that is a 2, and then we compare the 62 with respect to the 61, 62 with respect to the 2, and also the 0 with respect to the 2. So we can see that these two operations are not satisfied, and then we increment only the count of the second index, right? That in the did index is 2 by 1. So it means that like we can update the counts like 0, 0 and 1. Okay, because only this one satisfied. Okay, so next we can do the next thing. So here we can see that we still have the 61, 62 and 0, right? And then so we compare this one with the 61, and then somehow like we compare with this one. This is okay, this is not okay, and this one is okay. So it means that we increment the first by 1, the second by 0 and the last by 1, because only the first and then the third one is satisfied, right? And then this is 1 plus 1, so it means that in here we have 2, and the result finally that is the 1, 0 and 2. Okay, so this is the way we deal with this problem. Alright, so let's program it together. Okay, so I just reset this one. Yeah, so for the things like I mean the sort is very important, so we need to sort it like this one. So it means that like we need to prioritize the offline event, and then so we will initialize dimensions which is equal to the 0, and then length of this one will be number of the user, right? And also we have the timestamp, and then that also the 0, and the number of the elements, still number of the users. And then so we will iterate through the event, right? And if the event of the 0 which is equal to the message, and then this one is the string, right? So we need this problem is like I don't like this problem because like they do not like have the coding convention. For example, like in here when they use the message, and then they will use the ID 102, but when they use offline they use only the number, the notes for the ID for the ID. So that is very confusing, and it adds extra step for us to deal with the string and the message. Okay, so in here like if the event of 2 equal to on, right? This one is the easiest case, and it means that like we just need to increment the count for all the things in the mentions, and mentions of the I will be incremented by 1. Okay, so another case that like what if the event 2 which is equal to the here, and then what should we do? The things we need to do is that like we need to get the in range of number of the user, and if the timestamp of the user I it is smaller or equal than the event 1, which is the current timestamp, right? And then so to do this one, and then this one is the string, and then we need to convert it into the integer value. And then so in here we can get the mentions of I incremented by 1, right? Yeah, so otherwise the last case, it means that like we will mention specific some of the users. So it means that for user ID in the event 2, we need to split by the space, and then so the user and then we will increment the mentions of the integer of the user ID from 2, because like it starts with the ID here, so we need to filter out the ID here. So I don't know why they put the ID here. They just need to put the 1 2 3 4 5 here. That is much easier. So here like that makes the problem become confusing. Yeah, so equal to 1, and then yeah, so yeah, we just need to mention specific user otherwise, and then so else, and then we need to get the for user ID in range in the event 2, right? Because for now we will have the list of the user to deactivate it, and they will be offline, right? And then this one is like the split by the space, and then we need to get the timestamp of them, which is the integer of the user ID, and then we need to put this one as the integer of the event 1, right? Timestamp plus 60. Okay, so and then we return the we need to return dimensions. Okay, so here we return dimensions. Okay, all right, so here like you can see that I can pass all of the test cases here. Let's check with my test case before. Okay, yeah, it works. Yeah, use this test case as well. Okay, looks good, and then I will submit. Okay, it is accepted. Then this is like, I think that is the convenient way for us to solve the problem. However, like you still can use the set, because like when you use the there are two approaches here. However, like in here the array works because like they assume that we have the user from 0 to n-1, right? However, if they don't have this constraint, they just say that we have 100 user, right? But the ID of the user is arbitrary, so it means that like the ID of the user can be the 10 power 9. So it means that this is overfloated, so it means that it cannot be represented by the array sequence like this. That is very difficult, and we cannot allocate the array with the length of the 10 power 9. So in that one, the online one, the set one will be taken into effect, and it can help us to solve this problem. Okay, so it means that is the reason why I introduced two approaches here for you guys. Yeah, so I think that they both have the pros and cons, but in this case using an array is much better. Yeah, so for example, like in here, because we sacrifice the when this one is using the two set approach, and then for this one, so you can see that in here the code is like it is long, it is much longer, and then because we need to handle two sets, and somehow like that is like moving one element into another set, that is like not efficient. Yeah, so however, like it still work. Yeah, but I think that it will be slower than the original one. Yeah, it's still here, so yeah, it's okay. Yeah, so I think that's all the things for today in my problem. So if you like, and if you want to support me, please give me a like or comment, because that is free. I think that yeah, that all the motivations for me every day to do the Leetcode problem, to make the video and then publish and share my approach for you guys. Again, thank you so much for watching my video, and see you next time.